Hmm. Hello, hello, hello. This is interesting. Hmm. Okay, we are connected. Fantastic. Hello, 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 hello. Oh my god, it feels like I have not been live for a little while, but actually, that is the reality. I have not been live since before. Yeah, I definitely have not been live since coming back from the holidays. Um, yeah, so this will be my very first live since Chinese New Year. Happy Chinese New Year if I haven't said anything to you yet. Okay. Okay. I think I'm ready. I think. Let's just do it. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. I am your host, Lala Angela Wang. I cannot believe we are 23rd of February already. And come next month, it'll be my birthday month. I've got something planned. But I'm not telling you guys yet. Yeah. You're just gonna have to wait until next month. Um Today's topic. Whew, it feels heavy, but also I think it's something that needed to be talked about. Um I'm hearing so many people around me saying that they're struggling, and it's energetically it's a funny time. The struggles are real, but they are also very diverse. There are some people struggles with the financial side of things. There are some people struggling with just the day to day. There are some people struggling with relationships. Actually, there are a lot of people struggling with relationships, and there are a lot of people struggling with their health. When I posted this, my ego kind of came out and go, "Whoa, what gives you the right to say this?" I'm like, hey, Miss. I don't know. I always see my ego as a male, even though it's my ego, right? Hey, Mister. um, it gives me all the right to talk about it because the struggle is real, and I have been there, right? Um, and I've been quite public about some of my struggles of being a mum, struggles with, changes in life, struggles with things outside of our control. But I think one of the differences is that a lot of times I choose not to look at them as struggles. I see them as challenges, and I think even though it's the same thing in many sense, right? Language is everything. And I've been on this path of language for a very long time. And I really realized when I change my own language, it changes everything for me because I look at things differently. Especially being somebody who's super competitive, when I looked at a thing as a challenge, I'm more likely to want to overcome it. When I look at it as a struggle, it just feels like, ugh. So I'm not saying I'm an expert because we all deal with struggles differently or challenges. But today I would like to offer some lessons learned, and things that has helped me in the times where I feel like I'm drowning. keeping my head above water. And it's those little moments that slowly add up that really helped me leap out of those situations. But before I do that, I actually want to tell you guys a story. This is a story, I can't remember when I heard this, but this story is something that I used to tell George when he was little, and it's a story that I love. It's a story about, keep going. So there were two frogs. They were taking a field trip to a farm. And I'll tell this slightly quicker. So it's not like a bedtime story trying to put a toddler to sleep. So they were like hopping and exploring this new farm that they found, and they found a milking shed with cows in them. They're like, oh, let's go in and have a look. And when they went in, they realized there's a bucket of freshly squeezed, fresh milk, a bucket of fresh milk. And so they went in, they enjoyed the milk so much that there's probably half a bucket left by the time they were all feeling full. So both of them were floating in this half bucket of milk, feeling really full. And the first frog, let's just call him Fred. Fred was like, oh, what should we call the second frog? Ben, maybe Fred and Ben. Actually, let's call them Ben and Jerry, the ice cream brand. Ben and Jerry. So the first frog, his name is Ben. Ben's like, oh, I'm so full. I can just like sleep in here. And Jerry's like, oh, I know, but we're going to have to get out of here somehow. And Ben's like, oh, yes. And the two of them kind of all of a sudden woke up from this milk coma. Like, oh, but look, we're so far away from the top now. It was easy when we first came in with all this milk, but now we have to drink all this milk. How will I get out? So Ben started to panic. He started to panic. He's like, we can't get out. So he gave it a few goes. He jumped and jumped. He's like, no, there's no way we'll get out of here. I'm giving up. I'm just going to drown myself in milk and die in this bucket of milk. So he did. He literally covered his nose, started sinking down, and drowned. Whereas Jerry looked at his mate going like, oh, such a drama queen. I'm sure if I keep trying, I'll be able to get out of this. So he kept jumping and keep jumping and keep jumping and keep jumping and keep jumping, jumped and jumped and jumped. And we all know what happens when you keep churning the milk, right? Hey, yes. It started to get solidified. You know when you keep churning milk, it becomes butter? So because he kept jumping and jumping and jumping, which means he's aerating and churning the milk starts to solidify. And they're starting to have a little film on top. It's like, oh, wait. The texture of the milk's different now. And I can jump a bit further with a bit more ground or a solid under me. So I keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And so the layer of milk solid becomes thicker and thicker and thicker. And towards the end, it gave him enough of a base. He was able to jump out of the bucket and went on his merry way. Before he jumped out of the bucket, he jumped onto the room and looked at his poor friend Ben. He's like, see, only if you had come down, we might have got out of this even quicker with the two of us. So the moral of the story, sometimes in difficult situations, everything looked harder than it is. But if we continue to trust and to try and just keep going, there's always a solution. There's always a solution. There are multiple times in my life I face challenges. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's, work related, sometimes it's relationship. But generally, there's this tendency in my life where I attract everything. Everything tends to happen and compound in my life, and they will all happen at once. All the good things and all the bad things. Not necessarily in threes, but always multiples. So there's this big ups and big downs. But I also think sometimes it is part of my belief system that, things have to happen this dramatically. So I'm working on that. Even becoming a mum and then going back to work and then have a side hustle, it's been challenging. It's even, one of the challenges that I'm facing with my side hustle is, what do I really want to do? Because what I was doing before I became a mom kind of didn't felt aligned anymore. So there was a period where I really felt stuck. Right? Even last year with the changes at work, I felt stuck. So when this idea of the topic of today, which is, what do you do when you feel stuck, when you feel like you've reached your capacity, when you feel like you're capped out, you're maxed out in all the ways, always. What do you do? So the biggest thing I've found has really helped me is to find a mentor that has gone through it, that has got a similar journey, and that has come out the other end. That is probably one of the biggest things that has supported me. Now, you might be saying, hey, can't afford it, right? Can't afford it. Completely get it. Quite often when we feel stuck, it feels like we can't afford time, we can't afford energy, and we can't afford financially. Everything felt really locked in. It's essentially in a I would say deadlock, but it's like everything's locked. Like there's no movement, you can't move, you just feel really restricted. And I think one of the biggest thing that has really helped me whenever I feel lack, the first thing I do is I audit my time, because time is one of those things I find, if you talk about playing chess games, if you can release a bit of your time and use that to focus on what I'm going to talk to you guys about next, that unlocks a lot of pieces. So the first thing is I would recommend to do a time audit on yourself. Look at the time, and you have to be highly critical about this. Look at the time that you do various things in your day. And all I'm asking you to do is to find 5 to 10 minutes of your day. And I don't care how busy you are. I don't care how busy you think you are. I truly believe that everybody can find 5 to 10 minutes of your day. If you're really, really, really stuck with time, then I'm going to ask you to then look at opportunities where you're alone. 5 to 10 minutes that you're alone each day, that you're not doing anything else, but maybe driving, or you're on the public transport, or you're sitting on a toilet. Okay, because the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to utilize those times to do a couple of things. Find something that will ground you, that will center you. So you could either barefoot on grass, meditate, journal, or simply visualize, or listen to a podcast, or ask yourself, having inner conversations, ask yourself some questions. Right. And there's a theme with all of these activities. So number one, you need to find your center. Oh, and breathing exercises. So whatever it does to get yourself momentarily out of the fight or flight, or the tiredness, or a different mindset. And for me, the thing that helps me the most is actually asking myself questions. I tend to ask myself the same question over and over and over and over again. So if I feel stuck, right, I'll be like, okay, where do I feel stuck? What do I feel stuck the most? What is the thing that I felt the most stuck? How am I stuck? Okay, you might be like, I feel stuck financially. Okay. What it is that we need to create so you don't feel that way. What it is that we need to create so you don't feel this way. Okay, I might be asking yourself, so, what's the goal here? What do we really want to do? What's the opposite of, feeling stuck for us? What do you really want to create? And start to dream using those 5 to 10 minutes a day that you have to do whatever it takes to dream about it. Okay, now your ego is going to come up and go, why are you doing this? There's no point. All the negative things, you can't even do this now. Why are you wasting your time? But it's not, right? Our brains, what we think is far more powerful than you think. Okay. So you want to start to think about the future. Start to think about what you really desire, what lights you up. And then ask yourself, we've gone through some of these questions last week as well. Ask yourself, number one, what does this next version of me look like? What does he or she look like? How does she feel? And what beliefs do they have in order to be in that position? And then you ask yourself, what beliefs do I currently have that's stopping me from getting there? It might just be like, I feel stuck. Okay, so what belief do we need to create? What do we need to do in order to let go of this belief? And it might take you days or months to just journaling on this series of questions until you finally get it. But what you're doing is you're loosening the grip of a certain belief, because when we are feeling stuck, all you're telling yourself is, I'm stuck. I don't have time. I don't have energy. I don't have this. I don't have that. And what you want to do instead is to get yourself out of the limiting beliefs, limiting mindset, into limitless mindset. And what you also want to do is to tap into the emotions of limitlessness for you. What does that mean? How would you feel? And what you'll find is, if you can find 5 minutes to 10 minutes and build a habit, just pick one thing. And you're like, well, how does grounding help? It allows you to momentarily get out of the negative thinkings, right? When you're grounding, for that 5 minutes, close your eyes, think about things that you're grateful for. And because we are time poor, what you want to try and do is to layer as much as possible in that same time. So you want to try and do as much as you can. And that's why I said, if you're driving, you can do it too. I often talk to myself when I'm driving. Driving for me is the time that I do a lot of my thinkings, do a lot of my inner reflections. If you have to, record yourself while you're driving. Talk to yourself and record yourself if you're the kind of person that talks to yourself. I actually did years ago, an podcast episode where I just record myself and they'll become while I'm driving. And that really just became a podcast episode because quite often they became channels. I'll be channeling through things and I will be listening to them myself. And I know for some of you, you're going to be like, that it's just, what are you talking about? But often when we're feeling stuck, we're actually not. It's just the feeling of stuck within us, that our thought of being stuck gets projected to our external world. And that's how powerful our mindset is, right? Whatever we believe gets projected to the outside world. So if you think you're stuck, guess what? You have created stuckness in your world. If you think that you've reached your limit, you're at capacity, then you will be at capacity. But if you believe that whatever happens, you will always find a way out, you will always find a better solution, then you will find a better solution. And this is another thing. Whenever I'm in a stuck situation, yes, I will still think about the positive, what I wanted to create. But I also start asking for help. I ask the universe to show me the way. I ask the universe to show me what I need to do. You ask other people for help, but you also ask spirit for help. And often, sometimes in the past, because I didn't believe it, it wouldn't happen. I'd be like, oh, can you help me? Oh, well, I just think can anyway. Who am I kidding? But because I practiced it enough, I know whenever I ask for something, it will happen. I just keep asking and keep asking. And sometimes it's a bit annoying, I think. I'm like, this is what I want. Bring it to me, please. And sometimes the universe will test me. They will send me something that's not quite what I want. I'll be like, no, that's not quite what I wanted. Give me something better, more aligned. This is what I want. Don't be afraid to reinstate what you wanted. Right? It's okay to ask. But always ask for the most aligned as well. Right? Because I wanted to live an aligned life and I want everything in my life to be aligned. So whenever something show up, I would say, show me something that's more aligned. If something showed up, it's not quite, I didn't feel that it's aligned, I'd be like, show me an option that is more aligned. I don't believe we're quite there yet. This is not, or you may have to reframe what it is that you want. Maybe you weren't clear the first time around, right? You can always reframe. I also refer to, job opportunities that comes up. It may not be the first one, or like house hunting. It may not be the first one. And you get to say, well, not quite this. Can we have more of that? You can negotiate, right? I was going to say something came up earlier. Yes. So lately, I've been feeling a shift. Feeling a shift in terms of the timeline that I am in, but I've also been resisting it. So when I say timeline, it's like we get to choose the level that we reside in based on what we could see, what we could feel. And when it's time to grow, we can also choose whether we want to elevate. We can also go onto a lower timeline, lower vibrations. Um, I've been resisting change lately because I was feeling that there's very rapid change coming. I've been resisting it since, I would say, probably about December, because a lot happened in December. And as soon as those changes happened, I felt like there's another change coming. There's another change coming. And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Too much, too quick. I've only just gone through a death and rebirth. Don't give me another death and rebirth. But what I realized, I was listening to a podcast the other day, it's sometimes when we have done enough work, we can jump timelines. We can go through very quickly death and rebirth. And so when I finally realized that, I was still resisting it, but I also knew that it's something that had to happen. So a question I've been asking myself lately, or asking the universe to show me, is to show me what's not aligned. But at the same time, show me a graceful way that I can transition this thing that's not aligned into something that's more aligned. The funny thing is, the things that are not aligned kept showing up, and the things that are aligned are so much more easier to accomplish. So as part of the Success Woman Collective, we wanted to organize an International Women's Day event. And I was like, there's no way we'll find a venue or a speaker, less than a month before the event. But I did. Within a week, we locked in a venue, found a speaker, and now it's just about inviting more people to come to this event. There's so much synchronicity that's been happening around me lately. It's inspired me to talk about this more. And I really want to share it with you guys because I know if I can do it, it's possible for everybody. And a lot of times we just need to overcome our own inner critics, our inner naysayers, and believe that we are worthy and deserving of having whatever we want in life. Because quite often that's the first hurdle that we all have to go through. Quite often when we think that we're stuck and we're limited, that we have reached a capacity, or we are simply just in this gridlock, our biggest hurdle and our biggest challenge is to overcome that belief system. And the best way that I know how to overcome it is continually to question it. The more that you question your own beliefs, the more that you'll start to see that wall crumble. And then the more that you will see that actually none of these beliefs are yours. It's very ironic, I went home to see my grandmother's house being demolished. But at the same time, even though I'm super sad, but the more that I looked at it, the more that I look at it's a representation of that the old stuff that used to live with the me all crumbled with the house. And I am no longer limited by my ancestral beliefs. to be honest, so that was 3 weeks ago, I saw the house. I feel so much more free and unrestricted. I almost feel like I've been given a new lease of life. And this is another thing that you guys perhaps don't know about me, that quite often I see ancestors, not necessarily my own, but ancestors of the lands that I visited, or my own ancestors, or traditional landowners of various indigenous culture around the world. And ever since I visited my grandmother's house, all I could see was celebrations around the crumbling of the old system. And I truly believe we're in a very unique time here where we've literally seen old systems crumble right in front of us. And what better time it is if you want to build new beliefs, new systems within you, your ancestral line, your bloodline, your family line. Now is a great time to do it. But it starts with you making the decision that you are worth it, that you deserve your own time. You deserve that 5 to 10 minutes a day to work on yourself, to work on crumbling your own inner beliefs, your inner own limitations, your own inner walls, right? To crumble those walls and find a new set of beliefs that is going to support you in your vision, in your lives. And if there are people around you that says, no, it's not possible, you're dreaming, maybe you need to find a new group of people as well. Because I know this is an overdone saying, but you are the average of the 5 people around you. So you need to make sure that you surround yourself with people that believes in you and that it's going to support you, that's going to back you in your vision for your own life during these times when you're reprogramming, because it is important. And you need to be the first person to realize that you are important. And therefore, whatever you do is important. On that note, I just want you to listen to this again. You are important. And therefore, whatever you do in this life is important. As long as it's for the greater good of humankind. You're worthy, you are deserving. And you are important. You are worth it. You deserve it. And you are important. You are worth it, and you deserve it, and you're important. You're worth it, and you deserve it, and you are important. Just keep repeating those 3 things to yourself before you go to bed every single night, and watch the change happen in your life. On that note, that's me for today. Lala Angela Wang from the Womanly Way podcast, signing out now. Bye.